Hello, it is such a great honor to be here as part of the Mystery School, the McBride Magic and Mystery School Book of Secrets for the FISM attendees. Thank you for including me in this, Jeff McBride and Larry Haas. It's a great honor to be on the senior faculty of the McBride Magic and Mystery School. So what secret am I going to share with you today? This is one of my Zoom studios right here. Can you guess the theme of this particular one? We have the white rabbit with the watch, hat, drink me over there, and all of this. Yes, that's right. It's a Alice in Wonderland theme here. I've had many different themes for many different Zoom sets over the last 2 years of this experience, and I believe Zoom shows are going to continue far into the future. But today we're going to talk about scripting, and that is something that goes through everything we do, whether you're a Zoom performer, a close-up performer, stage, on the radio, or any kind of even strolling entertainment, I believe, requires good scripting. Because as Eugene Berger taught us, without good scripting, how can we grow? If we don't know what our core is, how do we develop that into something better? How do we take out bad lines and add in better lines and create a consistent product that a director can look at to shape and adapt, and that we can step away from for a while and then come back to in the same pristine condition that it was in before? David Copperfield famously records all of his shows so that when a piece comes out of the show, that is recorded and stored in its perfect scripting, staging, costuming, just as it was when it was taken away, so that when the piece comes back into the show, he doesn't have to relearn it. He can start from that place of the perfection of where it was and update what needs to be changed and updated given the current time and circumstances. The same with Penn and Teller, who are constantly moving pieces in and out of their shows. So I'm a big proponent, of course, of scripting. Also, go back and look at Pete McCabe's work in his scripting magic books. Anyway, a big piece I'd like to share with you is something I learned from a magician and theater educator by the name of Davy Marlon Jones. He adapted it out of a work called A Primer on Playwriting by Kenneth McGowan. And it's a new take on Aristotle's a way of looking at the poetics and way of judging plays. But it's a piece that I use for creating my shows and creating my effects. It can be used in the small version of using the structure in a single effect, or in the large version of using it for an entire show. Particularly, I use this when I build seance shows as the main structure of the entire show. So let's get right into it. The pieces are an acronym we start with, and the acronym is PASTO, P-A-S-T-O, P-A-S-T-O. I wish I could put in little graphics here, but that's not my forte. P, preparation. Your character is preparing to do something. Think of any movie or play or story that anyone has ever told you. It starts, I was preparing to do X. I was planning to do X. I was thinking that my day was going to be X. However, so that sets us in the place of where we are. That's our preparation. And then there's A. Now, the way it was taught to me was this is attack or is action, but in the book it was written as attack. So either action or attack. So you have a preparation and then you attack. You take an action to move forward from your preparation. You're now going to go and do that thing you plan to do. So I plan to go fishing, and I head for my boat and we start heading towards the lake. That's preparation action. Now we're going to skip the T and the S and the T and move straight into the final one. So it's P-A-S-T-O. The O is outcome. This is what the character thinks is going to happen. The character believes that they are going to prepare to do something. They're going to take the action to go do that something, and then there will be the outcome, and they succeed at doing that something. I mean, this is the greatest problem in every bad mentalism show that you or I have ever seen, because, and I love mentalism. I mean, that is the core of the kind of performances that I do. But the bad mentalism show is, I'm going to attempt to read your mind. Write down a word. I then tell you the word. I'm going to attempt to find your card. Name your card. Here it is. I'm going to attempt to match your ESP cards. I do. I'm going to attempt to figure out what words you think you have in a book. I do. I'm going to attempt to duplicate the image that you've just drawn. I do. Preparation, action, outcome. Preparation, action, outcome. Over and over and over and over and over until it's no longer interesting, because we say, well, it's not fun anymore, because I believe you can do it. I believe you're going to succeed. If an entire Superman film, not that there's been a good one in a while, was about he saves people over and over and over and over for 2 hours, it would be really an obnoxious film. Superman has to have a flaw. He has to have kryptonite. He has to have something that gets in his way. We all have to have something that gets in our way, that throws us off from the original plan. That's what makes the story interesting. When we're watching a piece of theater, we are not watching an average day in this character's life. We are watching the most exceptional day in this character's life, the most interesting day in this character's life. As the great science fiction writer Sturgeon wrote about, we are looking at a human problem that can only be solved in a human way, that is only caused by these science fiction or supernatural or whatever occurrences that are happening in the outside world. We're not going to give up a day of our real human lives in exchange, or even an hour of our real human lives in exchange to see the fake person's boring hour of their life. No, no, no. We need to see the most interesting, dynamic, complex, overcoming adversity, achieving greatness, fighting against good and evil, fighting against themselves. Right? We have this whole person versus themselves versus nature versus each other versus God. We have to have this moment of struggle, moment of struggle. So it's preparation, action, struggle. Something happens that we didn't expect. Like, I just raised my arm and realized I didn't button my button on my shirt. And so now I'm struggling to look in the camera. Well, I fixed that button. Will he overcome it? So we have our preparation, our action, and our struggle. The character planned to wake up and go to work and have a regular, normal, average, everyday day at work. And then they thought the outcome was going to be that they go home. But instead, they prepare for their day. They take an action to go to work, and the world is attacked by aliens. And now all of this story comes to pass as they have to struggle against these aliens. And they struggle and struggle and struggle. And this is in all sorts of interesting ways. They struggle in interesting ways until they come to PAST, the turn. The turn is when they finally figure out how to overcome this problem, overcome themselves, overcome nature, overcome God, overcome the external, overcome aggression, human versus human, overcome the robot, right? What are they overcoming? There's this turn, this moment when things change. We prepare, we take an action, we struggle against something that we didn't expect or plan to struggle against. There is a turn, and then there is a new outcome that is changed because of everything that's happened. And we as the character have been changed through the experience of doing this. If we as a character are not changed by the experience of this performance, then it's not very interesting or engaging to an audience. They don't want to see somebody, especially someone who has magical powers, who is just robotically, mechanically going through the same motions every single day. They want to feel that today is the day that something special happened, something different, something unique, something unusual that has never happened before. Today is the day that at Matt King's show, somebody accidentally signed the back of the playing card. Today is the day that at the Siegfried and Roy show, the Tigers were right behind that audience spectator, and she never looked at the right moment to see them. Today is the day that something unusual and spectacular happened. And I was there for that moment. Today is the day that the character overcame that adversity. The character in Stranger Things finally figured out to use two hands. They're more powerful than just one. Come on, that's a spoiler from season 3. We've moved on from that. Don't be mad at me. Today is the day that Dorothy figured out that she just had to click her heels and she could go home. So we have to have something changes, not only in the world around us, but also something changes within us individually, ourselves. So how does this relate to magic? Well, you always hear an actor say, well, what is my motivation? What is it that I want? And the problem with so many magicians is what we want really is to be liked. What we want is the audience to like us. And that's a very strange show. I don't know that I would want to go to a 2-hour show or a 75-minute show or even a 45-minute show, all about one individual on stage, hoping that I will like them. And that's the whole show, and that's the whole motivation, and that's the whole action. And they're just going to keep doing things until I prove that I like them. That sounds like a painful experience. And that kind of show is a painful experience. I want to see a dynamic character who has wants and desires, things they wish to achieve, things they are struggling against, places that they are improving as a person, places where they are taking risks as an individual, places where they are overcoming their kryptonite, places where they are overcoming the bad guy, or places where they are overcoming things they never thought that they would do. That today is the day that I will finally beat Houdini's record, or today's the day that I'm going to get in the Guinness Book of World Records. Today is the day that something unusual happens. So for example, in my seance shows, I prepare preparation, action, struggle, turn, outcome. I prepare the room for the history of spiritualism. And I tell them about the spiritualists and the religion and what happened in the past. I prepare them for tonight's experience and what might happen tonight. Then I take an action. We start to hold hands. We call the ghosts to come down. Then there's a struggle. Something happens that shouldn't have happened. The wrong ghost comes through. No ghost comes through. The room starts acting up. I disappear. It's different in different venues, but there's a struggle that happens. Then there's a turn, a change, a moment where suddenly things change because I figured it out, or the good ghost comes back to save us, or I remembered an amulet, or I remembered a piece of spell, or someone else remembers a piece of a spell that I mentioned in the early preparation that suddenly fixes everything, so that we come to an outcome. And that outcome is different than the one we knew we were going to get to before. Look at any story in the Campbellian monomyth, from the Star Wars movies to even the Lego movie. There's so much about the struggle and different ways we struggle and who we struggle against. Do we struggle because we don't believe in ourselves? Do we struggle because we don't know our true history, our true origin, or our true power? Do we struggle because we're frightened of the place where we are? Are we frightened of the people around us? Have we not yet built the right team? Do we don't have the right props that we need? You know, do we not have that magical object? Are we struggling against our father? Are we struggling against a partner? Are we struggling against some general evil in the world, or a confusion about the world? What are we struggling against? In an individual magic effect, it may look as simple as, again, I go back to Eugene Berger. He was a teacher to so many of us, myself included, who said, I don't just say, here is, let me show you a trick. He says, I would like to share something with you that I've been working on for many months now, and I think it's ready to share. This is something that I've put part of myself into, my energy, my time, my soul. It gives it meaning, that there's meaning beyond just, let me show you another thing. In an individual effect, I start with, in my story, I want to start with my story either with a very unique special prop, a very unique special person, someone that I'm going to tell you about it, that I interacted with, or myself as the special person. Start with a very interesting place. Start with a very interesting quote, poem, song, or start with some interesting idea or concept. I use all of these pieces in every effect, but I want to have one of those as my starting place, as the core piece, as the thing that everything comes back to, because that's going to allow me to have a callback in the end. There's a preparation piece, and then there's the outcome piece. And even though the outcome is different than how I prepared it to be, even if that difference is your kicker, I want to have some sort of a callback to that original preparation or to that original action. So it feels like it's tied in a bow. It feels like everything came together. It feels that little piece that makes it feel like it's perfect, like it ended, like it is that moment of bliss, of awe, right? So even in an individual effect with let's say an ambitious card, it's something we all do, and that's out of mentalism, but if with an ambitious card, there should be a moment where I talk about, I struggled to learn this. You know, Kreskin does the ambitious card and he says, as many of you know, I have many friends who are magicians, and I'm not a magician, I'm a mind reader, but I did develop one piece of magic that fools all of the magician friends of mine, and I'm going to share it with you now. And he does the ambitious card. But he gives this story of this hard work and this thing that fools everyone. It fooled, right? It fooled Penn and Teller, or whatever your piece of the story is. About like John Archer uses in his show when he went to the Psychic Research Center and failed over and over and over to become a psychic until one day he had that sweet success, and we all cheer and root for him, right? That we all jump on board with Bill Malone, and he's shouting that, or the Bob Sheets, who seems like a bumbling idiot and then can accomplish amazing things. There's something about a struggle. And Bob Fitch teaches this to a lot of magicians and works with them on characters, including some that I just named. But works with magicians on how to incorporate this struggle into your show where, oh no, I got the card wrong, but then it appears in an unusual way. In children's magic, this is like David Kay with his character Silly Billy and Dr. Blood, the look but don't see. That's a struggle. I prepare to do something, I take an action, and then there's a struggle. I look but I don't see until there's a new outcome. We're already doing this, but to do it authentically and to do it in a way where it's planned and it's prepared and we think through this. So we prepare to do an effect, we take an action to do the effect. Some struggle happens either in the now, in the past, or based on something that comes in that we didn't expect, so that we have to have a turn, use a magic wand, right? We have to suddenly bring out the magic wand or the bigger magic wand. We have to remember a certain incantation. We have to get everyone to hold hands and work together. And then there is a success that happens that is greater, different, better than what has ever been before. One way that I follow the scripting advice of deliver more than you promise. Deliver more than you promise. Well, how can I do that? I can only deliver this much. And the answer is promise less than what you're going to deliver. So I tell the audience that this is going to happen. And when this happens, they think the effect is done, but then that happens. So think of the entirety of a routine. And this is what you know as a writer, not a performer, but as a writer, you know, and a director of your own show is going to happen. Promise that this will happen and then deliver this outcome. So that's part of that, delivering more. And that doesn't mean necessarily a kicker, but that does mean something bigger than what they expected in the preparation. You don't have to do this in every single effect. You don't have to struggle through every single moment. But even when we look back in history at classical figures like true figures like Houdini, right? We love the story of someone running on stage, peeking behind the curtain to see if he has escaped. And they look terrified and say, play the song through once more. Or we look back at stories of Merlin, and where even Merlin struggled and loses Arthur, or fights Morgana and loses, or struggles with his own time traveling right ways in different stories in different times. All stories of wizards, of magicians, of comic book characters, of superheroes, of heroes of any kind, are stories of someone who struggles, but in the end, they struggle against something that they are able to overcome in order to have that turn and a momentous outcome that makes us love their heroic journey. And today is your chance to make sure to build that into your shows so that you're the hero on stage, that your audience is the hero on stage. And so we're going on a theatrical journey together instead of a journey, as Dr. Robert Parker used to say, of a magician standing on stage doing beautiful movements with their hands and their eyes saying, I hope you like me. I look forward to seeing your shows. I look forward to reading your scripts. I look forward to learning more from you. I look forward to seeing you soon. From Paul Draper here with the McBride Magic and Mystery School, back to you and the rest of the teachers. Bye, everybody.